In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your rear brake hose. This is the one that goes from the axle to the caliper, not the one that drops down from the frame to the axle. Now here you'll notice that the wheel is off, which I recommend removing. You don't have to, but if you don't, at least cover the tire so the brake fluid doesn't contaminate it and destroy the tire. Let's remove the wheel. If you have one of these covers that covers up your lug nuts, take a pry bar or screwdriver. They make a little slot here that you can use to pry it off. Remove it. Now use a 21mm socket and remove all 8 of your lug nuts. And take the wheel off. I want to start at this fitting because this is going to be the most problem-causing area if there is one. So I'm going to take an 11mm flare nut wrench, and the reason I use that is because it has one extra grip side as opposed to a regular open-ended wrench. And hopefully I can get around the rust on this fitting, get this wrench on. Okay, try to break it free. Might have to hold this with something. Put a pry bar here for support. Wants to twist the whole thing. I'm going to take some locking pliers and lock them onto this fitting just so I can have something to hold it with. Make sure they're nice and tight here so they don't slip. Okay. Oh, okay. That broke free. However, it is spinning the whole line. And I don't want to keep going because this will break the line. But what I can do is unbolt the hose off of the axle and just spin the hose off. Yeah, it looks like this is not going to break free off the line, and I don't want to continue spinning it until it breaks. So, like I said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my 10mm socket, get this off of here, and we will remove the whole hose with it. And at this point, in order to get the hose to twist off of there, we have to remove it on the other end. Grab a 9/16 socket, break this free. Be careful, brake fluid will come out of here. The caliper is full, the line is full, so make sure you have a collection bucket to catch all of your fluid. Save the banjo bolt. The hose does not come with a new one, so you have to reuse this one. If it's in poor condition, definitely replace it. And you can discard the 2 copper washers. There's the other one. Throw these away. Don't reuse these. The hose will come with 2 new ones of those. Like I said, set the bolt aside. We'll save that for later. Now let's go back to the axle side of things, and we'll remove the 10mm bolt that holds this onto the axle tube. This might break. Oh, maybe not. Clean the threads up on that, and now what we can do, take this off and simply twist it. Looks like we're gonna have to hold the fitting, but you can just twist the hose off until it comes off of the line. There you have it. We'll clean up the threads on that. There's your old brake hose. Throw it away. Let's get the new one in. I'm gonna grab a wire brush, get this wrench off of here, and just brush the threads to make sure they're good enough to seal up on the new fitting, or on the new hose, I should say. Rinse the debris off. Try not to get brake parts cleaner in the hole. Now take the new hose and let's thread it onto the line. Make sure it starts off nicely, does not cross thread. That's nice, perfect. Okay, go ahead until it bottoms out right here. And now I'm gonna hold the line in place so that I can tighten this all the way and make sure that it has a nice seal. Okay. Might have to twist the line a little bit, but that's okay. Let's get this mounting bolt in, we'll tighten it up, and then we'll come back with the wrench and tighten up the line. So now that that's tight and it's being held in place, let's give this one last snug. There we go. Yeah, that turned a little more. So that's perfect. You don't want to have a leak there. Now take the 2 copper washers provided with the hose, put one on the bolt, and the other one we're going to put on the hose once the bolt goes through it. So slide the bolt through and then sandwich the hose with the other washer. Now bend the hose, line up the bolt, start it into the caliper. We'll bottom it out, and then we'll make sure it's nice and tight. That way, again, there are no leaks. That's bottomed out. I like to go about half a turn after it's bottomed out. That way I make sure I crush those copper washers and seal everything up nicely. That should be half a turn right there. Obviously, if it's still leaking, inspect the area, figure out where the leak is coming from. But otherwise, go ahead and clean it up because you don't want to mistake the residual fluid for a leak. So make sure this is very clean here, nice and dry, because if you have a leak, you definitely want to make sure you find it or you notice it in time. It would be very dangerous to drive around like that. So at this point, if you look up here, you'll see the bleeder screw. We're going to have to open this up and let gravity bleed the air out of the system. After gravity has done that, we'll perform the manual brake bleed. However, we'll start with this. So go ahead and pop the bleeder cap off the bleeder screw. There you go. And then I'm going to use a 3/8 wrench. You can try a 10 millimeter, but it might be a little too big. Open this up and we'll let gravity, like I said, pull fluid in and push the air out. Once you have no more air bubbles coming out from the gravity bleed, you're going to want to close this up and perform a full manual brake bleed. What that consists of is, first of all, top off your master cylinder if it's not already full. Then have a second person inside the vehicle pumping up the brakes. After a few pumps, go ahead and loosen this up. Have them hold pressure on the brake pedal as you do this so that fluid and air can come out of here. Once the pedal has reached the floor, close the bleeder screw, have them pump up again, and then have them hold pressure, open the bleeder screw, and repeat this process until you have no more air bubbles coming out of here. It's very important. After that, go ahead and cap this off, top off your master cylinder, clean up your mess, and then we'll put the wheel on if you took it off. Now, assuming all of your bleeding procedures are complete and everything is good, snug this up, cap it off, clean it if needed, and like I said, go ahead and put the wheel back on if you took it off. Now get the wheel back on, put on all 8 of your lug nuts, bottom them out, and then we'll torque them to 165 foot-pounds. And if you have your lug nut cover, don't forget about that.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.